when it comes to the Democrats in 2020 election, I started seeing a lot of pandering for the minority vote. If you saw the first night of the first debate, you saw Beto O'Rourke and Cory Booker trying to talk Spanish, even though they completely butchered the language. Cory Booker sounded like an Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to speak Spanish, and Beto O'Rourke, even though he's from Texas, couldn't even say every voter, and instead he said cada votar, meaning that every voting, pretty much. Okay, that's how you know. But like I said, it's clear pattern at this point. The Democrats want to get the minority vote, and they're desperate. And what do? They try to push the whole white man, white males, white people bad narrative. And I think that's what's costing them. In the case of Pete Buttigieg, people, for example, like people need to count their support. They need to count their blessings. You want to get as much support as possible. And I think trying to push away support from certain people to get the support of other people isn't a good strategy. Okay? In the case of Pete Buttigieg, he got a lot of support apparently when he went to this event, when he had this event, but he wasn't satisfied. Why? Was it because there weren't many people he thought that were gonna show up? Is it because it was it wasn't as crowded, or is it because it was too crowded? No, it wasn't any of that. He was kind of sad because there were more white people compared to minorities. What kind of mentality is that? What does that tell you about who they want the votes for? So if a candidate tells you, oh, we do not want your votes, white people, we do not want you, why are people going to vote for them? So I think Pete Buttigieg, while he should get as many votes as possible, as much support as possible, I think he should count his blessings. And again, I use that as a phrase to appreciate what you got. Not religious by any means, but I usually say that because people don't really appreciate what they got. But I would say Pete Buttigieg should appreciate what he has and try to get as much support as possible, rather than push away a certain group of people because he wants to be woke. So the article reads: Presidential hopeful Pete Buttigieg overwhelmingly white crowd at event on Chicago's South Side reinforces the struggles to draw support from black voters. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg had a self-described grassroots campaign rally in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood on Tuesday night, but the overwhelmingly white audience he drew to the event in a historic black neighborhood reinforced the difficulty the Democratic presidential hopeful has had in connecting with African American voters. Buttigieg did not acknowledge the makeup of the audience in his remarks or in answering questions from the 1,000 people at the sold-out event. It was sold out, and yet you're pissed off that a lot of people were white? What? You're sold out, man. A lot of you, you're lucky. You're lucky you have a lot of it. You're lucky you even sold out the event. But anyways, let's keep going. But did touch on it briefly as he closed the hour-long rally with a plea for his supporters. Find the people who don't look like most of you in this room and let them know they have the chance not just to support this campaign, but to shape it, Buttigieg said. So he kind of hints, basically saying, I want more black people, I want more minorities, and I want less of you to some degree. Bring more people that are not like you in, which is not bad. I'm not criticizing that at all. But when you push away a certain demographic, you kind of look like a jerk. Like you really do. You're kind of saying, I don't want your service. I want this person's service. And yet when they're not voting for you, you screw yourself over. It's kind of like the whole thing about go woke, go broke when it comes to movies and video games. For example, let's say Battlefield 5 is a good example. Battlefield in general, it prides itself on being historically accurate, and yet Battlefield 5 was a huge example of go woke, go broke. The only women that were fighting in the front lines in World War II were Russian females. There were pilots that were in the front lines. There were no women with robotic arms, robotic prosthetics. I wouldn't say robotic, but actual prosthetics fighting in the war. It just never happened. It never happened. And then what happened when they criticized them saying, "Oh, well, if you don't like it, don't play. You guys are sexist. You guys are racist." Women did fight in the war. Sure, they did, but it was just Russians, not British, not Americans. No, it was just Russian females that were fighting in the front lines and were also being pilots as well. But the thing is, like I said, go woke, go broke. Battlefield 5 pushed away its main consumer base to appeal to a demographic that doesn't play video games, doesn't play those types of things. And what happened? Battlefield 5 literally went on sale, like I think a week after it was released. It was that bad. Like really, no one wanted that one. Like people were pre-ordering more Black Ops 4 than actually Battlefield 5. But anyways, let's continue. During the event, the mayor largely stuck to his usual stump speech, emphasizing the need for a return to American values in the wake of a divisive Trump presidency and his pitch for a new generation of leadership through various policies. As part of discussing those proposals, Buttigieg touched on his Douglas Plan, named after abolitionist Frederick Douglass, that he called a comprehensive investment in the empowerment of Black America. The plan calls for tripling the number of black entrepreneurs within a decade, awarding 25% of all government contracts to minority business owners, creating rules to foster more diversity among teachers, increasing funding for historically black colleges and universities by 25 billion, and establishing the health equity zones to ensure better health care for black Americans. Among other provisions, Buttigieg's proposal also calls for reducing the state of the federal incarceration level by half, offering tuition-free college for low-income students, and massively increasing federal resources for the Title I schools, those with the largest concentrations of low-income students. The American black experience might as well put you in another country, and we can no longer allow this to exist, Buttigieg said to a round of applause. You cannot suddenly replace hundreds of years of racist policy with a neutral policy and say, okay, you got them, done, and then expect inequity to work itself out of the system. Buttigieg backers make contributions as low as $25 to $50 to the candidate's campaign to gain entry to the event, while some pay to $1,000 to attend a pre-event reception with the mayor. Before the doors open, a long line of supporters stretched down Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and down a nearby side street. Many of the supporters held "Chicago for Pete" signs, were bright yellow and blue Mayor Pete and Buttigieg T-shirts for the campaign's way of helping with the pronunciation of the candidate's name, Buttigieg. Okay, that's actually pretty smart. Not gonna lie, that's pretty smart. But anyways, I digress. Whoa, where are all these people coming from? I've been in this neighborhood for 20 years, and I never seen nothing like that before. All those white folks lined up over there, never. Ruby Lasser said, pointing at the line of supporters as she waited for the bus across King Drive. All I know about him is a young man from Indiana. He should get some credit for coming down here, but you got to let the people know what's going on. He needs to get some flyers in the businesses around here. I didn't hear anything about it. Buttigieg has struggled to gain support from African Americans. A CNN survey last month found them polling at 0% nationally amongst black voters. A Monmouth University poll conducted last month in the key early voting state of South Carolina, where 61% of Democratic primary voters are black, found Buttigieg polling at just 1% among African Americans. In an interview earlier Tuesday at the South Loop that houses his Chicago campaign office, the mayor said he's found his Douglas. His Douglas plan has been extremely well received, but that getting in front of more people is the challenge. It's a matter of making sure we work serious and introducing it to as many people as we can, Buttigieg said, his voice echoing a tiny conference room. The number of voters who still say they haven't really formed an opinion is pretty large. The good news is it means we've got a high ceiling, but the challenge is we got to get out there in a way that maybe we would be different if it had been a national figure for a couple of decades. We're going to be doing it in a quick amount of time. Buttigieg's efforts to reach out to black voters has been complicated by the fallout from the fatal police shooting in South Bend of Eric Logan, a black robbery suspect who authorities say was armed with a knife. There was no police camera footage of the shooting, which remains under investigation. The mayor spent much of July back in his northern Indiana city of 100,000 holding meetings with community leaders, including an emotional town hall that placed a frayed relationship with some black residents on full display. While Buttigieg has acknowledged the difficulty of navigating the issue, he has also noted that his role as mayor places him closer to the issues and challenges black residents face. He said that makes his Douglas plan unique is its acknowledgement that so many of the challenges that face black Americans are interwoven. Part of it is connecting the dots between all these different things in South Bend. Whenever we have a conversation about challenging subject like policing, almost inevitably, it winds up being a conversation about economic empowerment and seeing how health and education, voting and justice, entrepreneurship, and homeownership are all connected. Buttigieg said, I think it's a really key part of the plan. Asked before the event about why his campaign chose to hold it at the Harold Washington Cultural Center, Buttigieg responded, well, certainly it reflects the importance of reaching out to diverse voters, but I also think it's just very Chicago. Afterward, Cordero, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing him, Cordero Johnson, who was one of the handful of black supporters in the room, said it's no secret Buttigieg has an uphill battle to attract more African American voters, particularly since former Vice President Joe Biden has such a strong commitment from many of them. Johnson arrived undecided but left a Buttigieg supporter, citing his command of the issues and a Barack Obama-like ability to relate to real people. I feel like all the black supporters are with Joe Biden. He's riding in the wave of being Barack Obama's vice president, said Johnson, 32, who lives in Bronzeville. So he needs to find a way to reach those people like me that have that he has actual real issues and real solutions to the problems that they're facing. That's the way he will get them. And Timothy Johnson is making a point here. Biden, he's literally like, he's literally getting all the edge of being Obama's vice president. Barack Obama, whether you like it or not, he's very popular amongst Democrats, and Joe Biden is literally trying to siphon out as much popularity from Obama to get to rally support for black voters. And I might be wrong, but as I'm recording this video, Obama hasn't even endorsed Biden yet. I could be wrong. Like I said, you can correct me in the comment section as I'm recording this video. To my knowledge, I don't think Obama has endorsed Biden yet. So what does that tell you? Biden is simply trying to get as much popularity as he can because he was Obama's vice president. So again, Buttigieg does have a huge problem here. He does. He needs to get more support. Outside the venue, Darnell Perkins couldn't help but shake his hand in wonderment. This is a good middle-class black neighborhood. I'm glad he's here, said Perkins, who's 53. But he needs to get some brothers to help him out next time and get some more black support. The Reverend Chris Harris, who introduced Buttigieg at the event, acknowledged as much and called on the hundreds in attendance to help diversify the support of Buttigieg's campaign. Next time we have an event in Bronzeville, we need more black faces up in here. We need some more brown faces up in here, Harris, pastor of Bright Star Church of God in Christ, said as the crowd cheered. Next time you can't leave your black and brown friends at home, and if you don't have some, you need to make some. And that includes the article. Like I said, I think when it comes to running for the nomination, you need to get as much support as possible. Whether or not Buttigieg responded negatively to the crowd, that's one thing. But the thing is like, rather than push away some of the people that were in the event, bring them all in. Make more room. Bring them all in. Because if you push away people because you want to make space for other minorities, then that looks bad on you. Like I said, count your blessings, or whatever you want to go with. Be appreciative of what you have. Buttigieg had an event sold out. Not a lot of people, especially the Democratic nominees right now that are running, not a lot of people can say that. Buttigieg isn't even one of the top contenders. He's not even in the top 3. But to have an event sold out, that says a lot. I consider that a huge accomplishment. Whether or not you like Buttigieg or not, that's another thing. But again, that's a huge accomplishment. You're not even in the top 3 and you're selling out an event? That's huge. So instead of saying we need more, because again, instead of saying we need more black people, we need more brown people, we need more Chinese people and Japanese people, instead of saying those things, I say get a bigger event and invite more people, get more support. That's what I would say. Because again, Buttigieg he is fighting an uphill battle. Joe Biden is getting most of the support of the black community because he was Obama's vice president. But at the same time, Buttigieg doesn't have that amount of name recognition. But again, he's managed to make a name for himself. I'll give him that. But he really needs to, fight to get the black support. Not to say that he won't get it, but it'll be an uphill battle. It's kind of hard to win over someone when you're Buttigieg and then you're competing against someone like Joe Biden. So again, it'll be hard. Whether or not you like Buttigieg or not, that's another issue. But again, count your blessings, dude. You sold out an event. That's good. Don't be shocked that the majority of was white. Sure, it's a predominantly black neighborhood, but don't be mad that the majority of the people who attended were white. Instead, be grateful, and then do whatever you can to rally more people of color. Don't just push the people that were there away. Don't. That looks bad, and not to mention it makes you lose support. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Pete Buttigieg is gonna end up winning more black support in the future? Do you think more minorities are gonna be willing to support Pete Buttigieg? Do you think Pete Buttigieg should be grateful for what he has? Should be grateful that he sold out an event, despite the fact that the majority of people were white? Or do you think that he has a right to get mad because he's trying to represent the minorities and the LGBTQ community, and yet the majority of the people that were there were white? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you like this video, hit the like button. Share the video as well. That lets me know that you like hearing what I have to say, and even though you might not agree with me at times, and you want other people to hear what I have to say. Same time, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, that way and hit the notification button as well, that way you never miss an upload. And this is going to be the third of 4 segments. The fourth one is going to be a big one. I'm going to spend more time on that one. It's going to be a bit of a longer video, because this is a big one, and I'm going to be providing my own opinion as well on that one as well. So if you guys can stick around for the last segment, I'll see you guys in a bit. But if you cannot stick around for the next segment, I hope you guys can watch it at a later date, and I'll see you guys at a later time.